Listen to me. I've come too far to fold now. I didn't fight through sleepless nights, broken dreams, and silent tears just to let life pin me down. I will not be defeated. You hear what I'm saying? I don't care what it looks like right now. I'm not backing down. Not today, not ever. You think pain is enough to stop me? You think failure is enough to break me? You better understand something. Every scar on my soul, every setback I've survived has only made me hungrier. You don't get to win just because life hit me hard. You don't get to win because the road got rough. No, I'm still standing. See, people want the crown, but they don't want the grind. They want the results, but not the responsibility. Not me. I welcome the hard days. I embrace the struggle because I know diamonds are made in the dark, under pressure. And guess what? That pressure, it made me. That heat, it forged me. I wasn't born with everything handed to me. I wasn't lucky. I earned this. Every inch, every step, every victory. I bled for this. I sweated for this. I cried for this. And I'm not giving it up because things got uncomfortable. You can knock me down, but I'll rise every single time. You can take my money, my comfort, my support, but you will never take my grit, my heart, my why. That's untouchable. I don't operate on feelings. I operate on purpose. My purpose doesn't take days off. It doesn't clock out when it's tired. It doesn't fold when it's scared. And neither do I. I will not be defeated because defeat is a mindset. And I've already made up my mind. I'm going to win no matter what. So when life puts pressure on me, I push back harder. When fear knocks on my door, I answer with faith. When failure tries to whisper, "You're done," I roar back, "I'm just getting started." This is my season. This is my fight. This is my legacy. Pain is fuel, not a finish line. Most people run from pain. They treat it like a warning sign, like it's something to avoid at all costs. But the truth is, pain is a teacher. Pain is a motivator. Pain is the proof that you're in the right place, doing something that matters. Nothing worthwhile has ever been achieved without it. You think champions get there by coasting? You think greatness is born in comfort? No. Greatness is forged in fire, and that fire is pain. When you feel pain, that's not the time to quit. That's the moment to dig in. Because pain isn't the end, it's the beginning of growth. It's your body, your mind, your spirit telling you, we're breaking limits now. We're breaking limits now. When you push past what's comfortable, that's when transformation starts. You're not dying, you're being rebuilt. Every ache in your body, every bruise on your spirit is proof that you're leveling up. Pain is the signal that you're in the zone where change happens. Most people let pain define them. They feel the sting and decide it's too much. They back off, sit down, and settle. But the ones who rise, the ones who break through and become something greater, they take that pain and they use it. They bottle it up and burn it as fuel. That pain becomes the reason they push harder, not the excuse to slow down. They turn every wound into wisdom, every loss into leverage. See, when you start a journey, whether it's chasing a dream, building something from nothing, fighting to become better, you will be tested. The world is going to throw everything it's got at you. And it's not personal. It's just the price of growth. You're going to face rejection, doubt, fear, and setbacks. And yes, they're going to hurt, but you don't stop. You don't shrink. You use it. You feel every ounce of it. And then you channel it into your next move. You ever see someone who looks unstoppable? Someone who walks like they've already won the war? That didn't come from a soft life. That didn't come from ease or luxury. That came from being broken and getting back up. That came from nights they cried but didn't quit. That came from losing over and over and still stepping back into the arena. Their confidence isn't arrogance, it's earned. It's pain transformed into power. And let me be clear, I'm not talking about pain that breaks you for the sake of suffering. I'm talking about that earned pain, the kind that comes from grinding, from pushing your limits, from choosing discipline over distraction. That pain is sacred. That pain is proof you're alive, proof you're engaged, proof you still want something bad enough to suffer for it. If you've never hurt chasing your dream, you're not chasing hard enough. If you've never questioned everything and kept going anyway, you're not in deep enough. People want results without struggle. They want to be strong without lifting the weight. They want to be respected without putting in the work. But it doesn't work that way. You earn strength through adversity. You earn greatness through sacrifice. And pain, real honest pain, is part of that sacrifice. It means you're paying the price. And if you're paying, you better keep going until you get what you came for. Pain doesn't show up to stop you. It shows up to shape you. It tests your will. It refines your focus. It strips away everything that isn't real. It exposes weakness, but not to shame you, to give you the chance to fix it. And if you don't run from it, if you don't numb it, you can use it. You could turn it into discipline, into passion, into purpose. That's why pain is fuel, because it forces you to decide, are you serious or not? Are you committed or just interested? Pain shows you who you are when there's no spotlight, no applause, no reward. It shows you what you're really made of. And when you face it head on, when you learn to work with it instead of hiding from it, you become dangerous. You become someone who can't be broken because you've already been through the fire and came out sharper. You start to welcome the discomfort because you know what it leads to. You see pain not as punishment, but as preparation. Pressure creates power. It doesn't break you. It builds you. Most people run from pressure like it's a threat, like it's some kind of punishment, but pressure is the separator. It's what turns potential into reality. When pressure hits, when life gets tight, when the weight is heavy and expectations are high, that's when your true strength is revealed, not when everything is easy, not when you're winning, but when you're stretched thin, tired, and tested. That's where the magic happens. Look at anything valuable in this world, and you'll find that it was shaped under pressure. Diamonds don't form in comfort. They're created deep beneath the surface, under the kind of pressure most things can't handle. Steel doesn't become strong unless it's put through the fire and hammered into shape. That's what pressure does. It refines, it molds, it sharpens. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It just shows up and demands that you rise. And the ones who do, the ones who don't fold, they're the ones who walk away with power. The difference between someone who's average and someone who's elite isn't talent. It's how they respond to pressure. Talent might get you in the room, but pressure decides whether you stay there. Pressure asks questions that only work can answer. Do you want it bad enough? Are you willing to hurt for it? Can you still show up when everything inside you is screaming to stop? Most won't. Most will tap out. But those who lean in, who embrace it, who expect it, they become unstoppable. Pressure has a way of exposing excuses. When everything is on the line, your habits show up, your preparation shows up. You can't fake it under pressure. You can't pretend to be ready. You either are or you aren't. That's why pressure's a gift, because it doesn't lie. It's honest. It tells you the truth about yourself. It shows you the cracks in your foundation. And if you're willing to face that truth, you can fix it. You can grow from it. People want strength, but they don't want the weight. They want power, but not the pressure that forges it. But you can't have one without the other. You don't level up when things are calm. You level up when you're under strain, when you're forced to dig deeper than you thought you could go. That's where the growth is. That's where the next version of you is hiding. And pressure is the key that unlocks it. You have to train yourself to perform under pressure, not just survive it, perform. You have to become the kind of person who's at your best when the stakes are the highest. That's not something you're born with. That's something you build through repetition, through resilience, through relentless commitment. Every time you show up and do the work under stress, you're rewiring your mind to say, this is where I thrive. And eventually, pressure stops being a threat. It becomes a trigger for greatness. Think about the moments that change lives. Final exams, championship games, critical decisions, interviews, make or break conversations. They're all soaked in pressure. If you haven't conditioned yourself for those moments, you'll fall short when they matter most. But if you've learned to love pressure, to invite it in, to compete with it, then those same moments will elevate you. They'll reveal your power, not your panic. You don't need a perfect environment to become powerful. You need resistance. You need weight. You need a reason to push back. Pressure is not your enemy, it's your ally. It forces action, forces focus, forces clarity. Pressure doesn't care about your feelings, it cares about your capacity. And the more you endure, the more you expand. The more you carry, the stronger you get. People talk about having potential like it's something to be proud of. Potential means nothing without pressure. Pressure is what extracts potential and turns it into performance. You could be the most talented person in the world, but if you can't deliver when it counts, it doesn't matter. Real winners don't wait for perfect timing. They rise to the occasion. They answer the call when the pressure's on. When you stop fearing pressure and start respecting it, everything changes. You stop hesitating. You stop waiting for comfort. You begin to walk into the storm knowing that you built for it, because every time pressure came for you, you showed up. Every time it tried to bend you, you held your ground. You didn't just survive, you grew. You became sharper, smarter, tougher. You found a version of yourself that only pressure could introduce you to. Purpose over feelings. That's the mindset of a finisher. That's the attitude of someone who understands that emotions come and go, but purpose stays locked in. See, if you live by how you feel, you'll never finish anything meaningful. You'll start strong, you'll get excited, you'll talk big, but the moment it gets tough, the moment you don't feel like it, you'll quit. That's what feelings do. They fluctuate. They're temporary, but purpose doesn't change. Purpose is what wakes you up when the alarm clock doesn't. Purpose is what keeps you running when the energy's gone. Purpose is what drives you through the wall when your body says, stop. Every successful person you admire, every champion, every high-level performer, they didn't get there because they felt good every day. They didn't always feel motivated, inspired, or fired up. There were mornings they woke up tired. There were nights they went to sleep discouraged, but they didn't let those feelings make their decisions. They let their why lead the way. They knew what they were chasing, and that vision was stronger than the emotion of the moment. That's the separation. That's what makes people great. Purpose doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't ask how you feel. It demands execution. Most people are emotional decision makers. They grind when it's easy. They show up when it's convenient. But the moment the storm hits, the moment the schedule gets tight or life throws a punch, they hit pause. They say, I'm not feeling it today. But the ones who live by purpose, they don't need to feel it. They do it anyway because they made a decision to be disciplined, not emotional. They made a commitment to show up regardless. That's how you build something that lasts. If you let your feelings sit in the driver's seat, they'll take you straight to mediocrity. Feelings will tell you to sleep in. They'll tell you to take shortcuts. They'll tell you to wait until next week, next month, next year. But purpose will drag you out of bed. Purpose will pull you through fear. Purpose will remind you of the promise you made to yourself when no one was watching. It will put you back on track when life tries to derail you. Purpose creates consistency. Feelings create chaos. Some days you'll be motivated, and that's great. Ride that wave. But you can't depend on it. You can't build a legacy on emotion. You build it with commitment. You build it by saying, this matters to me more than my comfort. Purpose is the reason behind the reps, the miles, the sacrifices. It's the anchor when the winds of life try to blow you off course. When your purpose is strong, your excuses get weaker. When your why is clear, your discipline gets sharper. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop looking for exits. You stop needing someone to hold your hand. You become your own accountability. You stop asking, do I feel like it? And start declaring it's time to move. That shift, that's when you separate from the pack. That's when you become the type of person who gets things done, no matter the weather, no matter the weight, no matter the odds. People will say, how did you do it? And you'll know it wasn't hype. It wasn't luck. It was purpose. It was waking up on the hard days and still going. It was showing up when no one clapped for you. It was pushing through the mental fog. It was choosing the mission over the mood. That's what most people won't do. They'll wait to feel better. But champions don't wait, they work. They align their actions with their purpose, and they keep moving forward even when the motivation dries up. Purpose makes you resilient. It keeps you grounded when life tries to shake you. It gives you direction when the path isn't clear. It reminds you of the bigger picture when all you can see is the pain in front of you. You stop chasing short-term pleasure and start embracing long-term meaning. And that shift, that change in perspective rewires how you live, how you train, how you lead, how you fight. Feelings will fade, that's guaranteed, but purpose, that's the fire that doesn't go out. That's the inner compass that keeps pointing you north. That's the difference between finishing and falling short, between caving in and climbing higher. When you lock into your purpose, everything changes. Not because the world gets easier, but because your drive gets deeper. You don't need ideal conditions. You don't need perfect circumstances. You just need to remember why you started and refuse to let that reason be silenced by emotion. Fall down, rise stronger. That's the truth most people don't want to hear. Everybody wants success, but not everybody is willing to go through the failures that build it. You're going to fall. That's a fact. Life's not going to wait for you to be ready. It's not going to hand you everything you want just because you're working hard. Sometimes you'll give it your all and it still won't be enough. You'll make plans and they'll fall apart. You'll trust people and they'll walk away. You'll take risks and some of them will crash. But what separates the winners from the rest is not whether they fall, it's how they respond when they do. Most people think falling is failure. They take it personal. They fall once and they decide maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe they're not cut out for it. But the ones who rise stronger, they don't think like that. They fall and they learn. They fall and they adapt. They fall and they come back smarter, faster, sharper, because every fall is a lesson and every lesson is fuel. You don't learn how to win. You learn how to win by losing, reflecting, and getting back up with more fire than before. Falling doesn't make you weak. It makes you real. It strips away the image. It humbles you. It forces you to look in the mirror and ask, am I really built for this? And if you are, you won't stay down. You'll rise, and you won't rise the same. You'll rise tougher. You'll rise wiser. The scars you collect from falling become the armor you wear in your comeback. You stop fearing the fall because you've proven to yourself you can rise. And once you understand that, the game changes. You can't rise stronger unless you fall first. Strength isn't built in success. It's built in setbacks. That's where your grit is tested. That's where your resolve is refined. When you get knocked down and everything inside you wants to stay there, but you choose to stand anyway, that's power. That's growth. People respect the ones who can rise from the ground with dust on their face and determination in their eyes, not the ones who've never been hit, but the ones who've been hit hard and kept swinging. Every time you rise, you build resilience. Every time you refuse to let the fall define you, you reclaim your power. You stop being afraid to try. You stop being afraid to fail, because failure is not final if you rise. That's what they don't teach you in school, what they don't show you in the highlight reels. Behind every triumph is a trail of stumbles, breakdowns, and breakthroughs. The rise is only possible because of the fall. The comeback is only meaningful because of the setback. There are going to be days when everything goes wrong, days when your body is tired, your mind is scattered, and your heart feels empty. There will be days when it feels like nothing is working, when quitting feels like the only option. But if you dig deep, if you remember why you started, if you remind yourself who you are and who you're becoming, you'll rise. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Because something in you refuses to stay down. Falling teaches you patience. It teaches you humility. It teaches you that you're not perfect, and that's okay. You don't need to be flawless. You just need to be relentless. You need to develop the kind of mental toughness that doesn't crumble under pressure, that doesn't disappear in defeat. You need to look at the ground and say, this won't be my home. This is just a stop on the way to my next level. You rise not just to move forward, but to show yourself you still believe, that the fire is still alive, that the mission hasn't changed, even if the path has. Sometimes rising is quiet. It's not dramatic, it's not loud. It's getting up in the dark when no one's watching. It's choosing to show up when nobody's cheering. It's pushing through the inner voice that says, stay down. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Rising becomes your habit. Falling doesn't scare you anymore because you know it's part of the process. You start to welcome it. You start to see it not as a defeat, but as a setup for a stronger comeback. Rising stronger doesn't mean you ignore the pain. It means you face it, you feel it, you carry it with you, not as baggage, but as a badge, a reminder that you're still here, still fighting, still hungry. You wear every fall like a trophy because you know what it took to get back up. You know the price you paid to keep moving forward. You know what it means to fall and still choose to rise with even more resolve. Defeat is a mindset, and I don't have it. Some people lose before they even begin because their mind has already accepted failure as an option. They walk into the room, onto the field, into the meeting, and they're already questioning themselves. They already doubt their value, their preparation, their strength. That's defeat before the fight even starts. But when you eliminate defeat from your vocabulary, when you decide that failure may visit but will never live in you, you step into a different kind of power. You stop reacting like a victim and start moving like a warrior. Because defeat doesn't start with losing. It starts with surrendering in your mind. There are people out there who are more talented, more resourced, more connected, but they lose because their mindset is weak. They let pressure talk louder than their purpose. They let fear dictate their actions. They let a bad day turn into a bad week, a bad month, a bad life. But the ones who refuse to be defeated, they face those same setbacks and say, this will not define me. They choose to believe in themselves even when the scoreboard doesn't, even when the crowd is silent, even when everything looks like it's falling apart. Because the belief is not based on evidence. It's based on decision, a choice, a commitment to never let circumstance write the ending. You don't need everything to be perfect to have a winning mindset. You just need the ability to keep pushing when it's not. You need to show up when it hurts. You need to keep swinging when you're tired. You need to keep showing up again and again and again with the mindset that says, I may bend, but I will not break. I may fall, but I will not stay down. That's what it means to reject defeat. It's not about ignoring struggle. It's about refusing to let struggle dictate your identity. When the world tells you you've lost, but you're still standing, still fighting, still moving, that's not defeat. That's defiance. That's heart. That's the kind of spirit they can't measure on paper. They can count your losses. They can measure your stats, but they can't calculate your will. And willpower is what makes the impossible possible. The strongest people in the world don't always look like champions on the outside, but inside, they've made a decision that they will never be broken. That mindset, the refusal to be defeated, changes how you operate. It changes how you train, how you think, how you speak. You stop using soft language. You stop entertaining weak thoughts. You stop letting your feelings guide your decisions. You start acting like someone who's already won, even if the world hasn't seen it yet, because victory always starts in the dark. It starts in silence. It starts when you keep going long after everyone else stopped.